So my name is Miss Anna, and I'm teaching in the international section, a wonderful grade 2 or CE1, as they call this class in French. So one day we came across the idea to make a podcast, because this is a very lively group and they are very inquisitive. So we decided to invite Manan, who is a friend of mine, and he studied physics in Sweden. So we connected because I just came from that Baltic area myself, back to India, and he is Indian. He studied in the Baltic area, in Sweden actually. So we decided to connect and talk about physics and astrophysics, and figuring out what wonderings children have. So what are their questions? How do they actually imagine the universe, and what do they know about it? So he came to our class on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon, and this is what we found out in our conversations.
So, hello everyone. So, I am Manan, and Anna brought me here because she told me that everyone here loves talking about space and they have lots of questions about it. And that makes a lot of sense to me because even when I was a little kid, space was the most fascinating thing for me. I always asked questions about space. I looked up at the sky and always used to wonder what all is out there in space. So they say that studying space, that's like the oldest science, because ever since the first humans were there on this planet, they have been looking up at the sky and asking questions about it, like what all is there that we see there? What are all these stars? What's the sun? Why does it move around? What's the moon? So we've always grown up, human beings have lived on this planet always seeing space, and we have always wondered what is what. And now we have lots of new tools and lots of new theories, and know so much more than we used to know 100 years ago. So I'm here to discuss about all the things you've learned about space and what all questions you might have, and we can see how we can find answers to them. Yeah. So today I'm here with 7 little scientists, and all of you are scientists to me. So what scientists do, you have to tell me that, because only then we can proceed. So what do scientists do?
Well, 6.
Okay, Christian.
Scientists do science.
But that does not tell me much when you have to tell what science is. So what is science?
Science is like we choose something in the earth, like space or how do plant grows and all that, and after we try to understand how do it works, how do it makes, and how did it came here on earth, and how did it make earth.
Okay. That's good, but we can actually just say it in very simple words also. What science is about, how does it start? They find out things, but before you find out things, how do you decide what to look for?
For me, I already started by talking about some space that Daddy wanted to be astronauts, and from that moment, for 1 hour, we keep talking about the space.
Okay, that's good. You talk about space. And why do we talk about space? What's special about space that we need to talk about it? Okay, tell me.
The space is undercover. That we don't know how far it goes. We don't know how big are the stars. We don't know how many Earth can be still out. And we still don't know if the sun will maybe move.
So, can we say that space is a mystery? We don't know so many things about it.
Children, can we say that space is a mystery?
Yes, it is.
Yes, and mysteries are interesting, so we want to ask questions about them.
But the space is so big that, I was in the space, it was flat and I could walk. I wonder how will I do something. There's no actually can breathe there, but the only thing we can see in my imagination is that there's the Earth, but we cannot breathe in whatever. how the space works. We go everywhere. The scientists, they made a spaceship and they went up, down, and they continue, but after they have to stop because the engine is, we have to go back.
Mm-hmm. So they burn all the fuel. Right, but one day Amira was in class and she said her goal is to actually travel outside of the Milky Way to a different galaxy. Who would like to go with her?
I think you would be already really
How far away from home?
Yes, and your grandmother should not go.
Your grandmother should not go?
If you go in a black hole, you can never come back.
Why not?
Because it's too up. You cannot go. I don't know, but it's you cannot come back.
What do black holes do to you?
They think they are like, I don't know how to explain, but I know. I don't know how to say it.
They absorb?
They absorb things. They absorb stars. They absorb everything.
Is that true?
It's true, and what is why are they so black? Why are they called black holes?
Because it's black.
No, that's not an answer. Like, what?
Or-
okay, why
I
is
know.
space so black? And when it's not black, what is there instead of the black thing? What is
White.
that? Yeah, the white thing comes from where?
The sky.
The sky.
The sky.
Do you remember my favorite word for today? I chose a word.
Light.
Yeah, light, right? So in space, where there is light, you see colors and bright things, but where there is no light, it's black. So if a black hole is always black, then what is that thing which it eats? It eats.
All the colors.
Yeah, colors and the light. So the black hole is like eats everything,
Black hole
including
is
light.
not always black.
Oh, okay.
It can be other colors. But the black holes who are black, they are invisible. Because we cannot see something that is black on black.
No, it's not because of the color. It's because the black hole is so heavy that even light cannot come out of it. You know, when you throw a ball up, it comes back down. You know, that's because of what?
Gravity.
Gravity, right? And a black hole has such strong gravity that even if you try to shine light out of it, the light is also pulled back. Can you imagine that? Like if you're on Earth and if you turn on a light and the light is pulled back, that's how strong the gravity is.
If you put it pointed like this, it will not go inside.
Oh wait, well, we'll have to talk about black holes, okay? We'll talk about what happens when you fall into a black hole. We'll see why light does not come.
What happened?
Scary. Hadia wants to say something.
Yeah.
My mom told me that that there is one planet who don't have the
Gravity?
the little ball inside.
Black hole.
The seed. The Earth have a seed. But she said one planet don't have a seed.
No sea, no ocean.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah.
I think it was Mars. Is
yeah.
this real?
That's true. Like Earth is one of the, in our solar system, Earth is the only one which has an ocean. All the others are like really dry. So Mars has no oceans.
Because they have only one color.
That's true. They have one
No,
color because
Mars
it's very
has-
no,
boring.
it's not true.
It's
No, there's one planet who have one color rather like that, and
Yes.
after they on his head he has white.
yeah,
Ice.
that's exactly like an Earth. In Earth and the poles, like
But
Antarctica,
yeah,
which is snow and ice, it's white. In
I-
fact, Mars also has white color on the
You
top.
know, first it had water on Mars. It had water on.
Yes, so Mars, one time back, we believe it used to have oceans too, and now they are dried up. And some say the ocean is still like frozen underneath, and if it's warm again, it will come back. But now it's all dry. But if you look at Mars, we see signs that there was water on it. We see parts where rivers were flowing. We saw ocean basins, and it's all dry now. So maybe Mars once upon a time had lots of oceans, just like Earth.
I think Mohammed wanted to add
Yes.
something.
I know what we can do for look in what is inside the black hole. We can take a camera, throw it in the space, and after we will see what is in the black hole.
Okay, good idea.
It's a good idea, but a bad idea also, I'll tell you.
I know because I know because it will go inside there.
It will go inside, but it will not be able to come out. So you can't tell people outside what you saw because you are trapped inside the black hole now.
Yeah, but what happens if you put a robot inside? You can see what's inside.
Only the robot can see it. It cannot tell the people outside who are waiting for an answer. So
the
whoever
robot.
goes inside the black
but
hole.
if you have a camera,
Hmm? Yes.
You cannot see because it's black.
Yeah, but
sometimes
just the
we
camera cannot talk to us. It's like it has no connection to the world outside once it has
what
gone
happens
in.
if we try to put 1 million of connection?
You can put anything you want. Once it goes inside the black hole says, okay, now you cannot go out. So you're trapped forever inside it. That's not a place you want to be.
I know.
But what's in the black hole? You have to push the earth inside.
Oh, but then how will the earth come back? That's bad. We'll disappear forever in the black hole.
I think Katya wanted to say something.
Yes, she wants to say
She has been
something for a
very
long
patient
time.
here, and we all have good ideas here.
Why we think that it's on Mars and not on Saturn or Jupiter, and I don't know which one, because there is ice turning, and maybe one day there was rivers and these rivers freeze, so it becomes little ice thing and it turn around.
Yes.
Why we don't think it's other planet but only Mars?
No, other planets also okay. Like when you talk about the planets like Jupiter, and okay, let's talk about the planets because we'll do an exercise on those also. So let's talk about the different planets. So can anybody name all the planets? Mohammed?
Do you know Jupiter is not a planet, it's just gas.
Well, it's still a planet. It goes around the sun. And it's made of gas, that's true. It's called a gas giant because it's the biggest planet and it's got lots and lots of gas.
And there is lot of black hole in the space.
We don't know how many there are because they are black, so it's very,
I know
very hard to
why
find.
there is black hole because maybe there is stars. So they explode it make a black hole.
Yes, that's right. Black holes are
And
dead
what happens if you
stars.
have two black holes? What happens if
Oh,
two black holes are near?
when they meet, something
Well, that's a
amazing
good
happens.
question.
Yeah. Scientists are trying to study that because this happens actually, and sometimes we observe it. So it's like a giant explosion happens, and then the big black hole forms.
Maybe
And
the black hole will take the black hole and the other black hole will take the other black hole.
yeah, they'll eat each other and they'll become a bigger black hole.
Oh!
Yeah. Well, not a bigger black hole, but a heavier black hole. It will have the combined weight of both of them.
But it will be more stronger.
It will.
It will be more stronger.
Yes, because now we have two black holes in one.
What happens? 1 million black holes in one.
We do have that in the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way. We have it's called a supermassive black hole, and that is as heavy as like millions and millions of suns.
And
it's a very
if-
big black hole.
Did you hear that? It's as heavy as millions and millions of suns. Can you just close your eyes and imagine that for a moment?
I can see
If a star explodes, it becomes a black hole, and the sun is a star, and it becomes a very big black hole if the sun explodes.
The sun will not, because the sun is like a small star, and when it dies, it will not explode like a big star.
I know why you said small star,
Mhm.
because there is stars who we don't know they are more bigger of the sun
Yes.
and
Yes,
other
we know
planets.
that.
Yeah, so the sun is a very average size star. It's not very small, it's not very big. It's just right in the middle.
But can I tell you, the Earth is the sun of the moon.
The Earth is like
Yes,
the sun.
the
Yes,
sun of
that's
the
true.
moon.
You
And
can say that.
If we go
Jupiter.
if we go on the sun, we die because it's too hot to sun.
Yes, it's really
And
hot.
what happens if you put bedrock? Do it will still burn?
If you put what? Rock?
Bedrock.
Yeah, sun is like really, really hot, and on the surface it's
Do you know
hot.
what is
but
bedrock?
bedrock is like the hard rock in the bottom of the. If you go below the soil, then you hit the hard rock. That's the bedrock, right?
Yes. And
So even here on the map, we're looking at India. This is the Earth,
It's
map
so
of the
dry.
Earth, and India looks dry.
Not South India. It's
And-
South America.
if there is there is a really small stars, and if it explodes, it will be a very small black hole, and it cannot take everything.
So with very small stars, like they live a very long time. So we still don't know what happens to them. They keep burning for a long time. So they haven't died yet, the smallest stars. But the big stars, they die and they will make black holes.
But there is star, red star.
Okay.
Yes,
But
yes.
what
They are. We'll talk about the colors of stars because stars are in different colors. So what do you think is the color of the sun? Like, does it have a color?
But
Is it yellow?
Red.
No, actually, well, you're right. It seems yellow sometimes, but we can say that sun is almost white, because when we read something out in the sunlight, the paper, if you put a sheet of paper, it looks white. So we'll say the light is also
when
white.
the sun explodes, it will be a very big black hole.
No, sun will not be a black hole. The sun will be something called a red giant. That's how it will die. So what happens to stars like the sun is like.
Yes, but it will explode, and after it will kill the earth.
Yeah, it will eat the earth, but it will happen slowly. It won't happen suddenly. What will happen is when the sun runs out of fuel, then it will start expanding. So it has no fuel to burn. So
It will do like this.
yeah, it will slowly go bigger and bigger and bigger.
And it will hit the galaxy.
No, it will eat. First, it will eat the inside planets. First, it will eat Mercury because it's closest to the sun, and will keep getting bigger. Then it will eat Venus
Then it's gonna burn our planet.
And also, I
eventually.
wanted to
But this is
tell
a long,
that-
long time from now.
I don't understand why we cannot go on the sun, but we can go on the moon.
We cannot go because we don't know how to make a spaceship which will be able to bear the heat of the sun. Sun is really, really hot.
This
And
is
we-
not good enough.
It's not good enough. It will melt. It's metal. The sun will melt it.
The moon is very, very cold.
The moon is very cold in the dark, and it's very hot when there's light on it. So when sunlight falls on it, it suddenly becomes super hot.
Really?
And yeah,
It's
and
why
then it's like, okay, if you are in the shade, it feels cooler. When you're in the sunlight, it feels hotter. But in space, the difference is so much that if you're in the cold place, things will freeze. If you're in the sun, suddenly things will start boiling. So there's a big difference between where there is darkness and where there is light. So the sun heats up everything in space.
it's why we go on the moon. We go in night on the moon.
I know like astronauts have gone there on the moon. They wear their spacesuits, so they protect them from the sunlight. So, but it is very hot. Whatever the sunlight touches, it becomes hot. But it's not as hot as the sun itself. So it's like maybe I think around 200 degrees. Which is, yeah, only. But so we have things which will protect us from that much. But the sun itself is 6,000 degrees, so that's super hot.
And in Delhi, it's how many degrees today?
Yeah, how many degrees is it?
45.
1 billion.
Yeah, 45.
I know I watched something on my TV, and I saw that the sun is not just a planet. It's mix of so many planets inside of him.
Inside the sun, you say?
Yeah.
Mhm.
The sun is not a planet, it's a stars.
Yeah, the
A
sun
big
is
star.
a star, and we're actually, so what we call, it's like a family, we call ourselves the solar system, So all the planets and the sun, they form together. So the sun is in the center, and it has lots of gas and maybe other things also while it was forming, and the planets are going round and round it. But they all form together. So the Earth also formed right after the sun formed. So it's like one big family. So
We are part of the Milky Way.
yes, that's like a bigger family. Those are like our relatives. There are other stars, and there are billions of them in the Milky Way. Well, the color of something tells you how hot it is. That's what astronomers do. They look at stars and they look at their different colors, and by
Some
looking at the
stars are
color.
blue.
Yes, some stars are blue. So the blue stars are the hottest stars because the more you heat something, the bluer it gets. So, has anybody seen seen a campfire? When you burn wood or coal, like what do you see? The color of the wood when it glows.
When it's very, very hot.
Yes. So when it's hot, so first when it's not burning, it's kind of like, let's say talk about coal. Coal is black, but when you start burning coal, what color does it turn?
Black.
No. it's not black, it starts glowing, but there's a
Yellow.
certain, yellow. And before that it's red, when you just start burning coal, it's red. And when you want to burn it faster and faster, it turns yellow.
So, if we were like close like Mercury, we would not be alive because it's with the distance of the sun and us that we are alive. So,
Yes.
so if the sun is moving, we will die directly.
Yes, but when the sun is moving, in fact, it's moving in the Milky Way between all the other stars. But because of the sun's gravity, all the other planets, they move along with it. So, the sun takes them along for the ride. So wherever the sun goes, the planets go along with it. So we don't get closer to the sun or farther from it. So, and that's a good thing, because if the Earth were even a little bit closer to the sun, it will get much, much hotter. And if it was a bit farther, it will get much colder. And that's why Earth is like a very, very perfect location for us to live, because Mars is so cold because it's farther than the Earth, and Venus is so hot because it's so close to the sun. So we have to be careful about how far we are if you want to have a planet where life can survive.
Wandering people, like we're wondering, see there's people on other planets. I'm wondering see people on other planets. I'm wondering see on other planets. There's people.
That's the biggest mystery. What do you think? Are there people on other planets?
Well, I guess it was before. It was like the
Before time began?
Yeah, because before when it was a dinosaur, the water must still be on the because there's ice on there, and that there must be water. So there's water, there's plants, and like the bomb, like on Earth, like that. Maybe before that we arrived, it was a bomb on there, and now there's still nothing.
Still sleeping. Could be.
It might eat us also, but the black holes are like so far away, so we don't have to worry about one eating us right now. We don't know of any black hole which will come close to us. So right now we are safe from the hungry black holes.
And
But how will they be hungry?
Hungry because they eat, so.
But they don't have. They don't have stomach.
Yeah, that's true.
and there is
We can talk about them as if they are hungry,
But
because they never stop eating whatever is next to them,
But-
they'll eat it.
astronauts. What happens if you go in space, but you go on the moon without the space? The
The
space.
suit.
Yes.
Yeah, then we will not be able to live because
You
space
cannot
has. We cannot breathe. There is no air in space, and on
And-
Earth we can breathe because there's air. There's an
But
atmosphere.
what happens
And-
if you put some? You put some ventilators on the moon, and like this you have air, and like this you can live on the moon.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, if we can do that, then we will be able to breathe on the moon also.
And-
But the problem is the moon is very tiny compared to the Earth. So the reason we have air on the Earth is because the Earth's gravity that holds the air close to it.
the moon is like that.
And yeah, the moon is so tiny that the
And-
air just goes away. So
And
that's
also,
why
you
we
know
cannot
there
breathe.
is, there is stars that move very speed, and why they move like that? Why they move very speed?
Mm.
That makes her. What make her move very speed like that?
Like most things in space, things move because they are either pulled by something or they are pushed by something. And in space, the things which moves things is usually gravity. So the other stars, they pull one
And
another
also
close
they-
still. I think what we are doing here is, when we ask questions, what's the difference between a scientist asking questions and just questions in general? Is that scientists, when a scientist puts a question, we also want to find a way to check whether the answers we have, whether they are correct or not. So what makes science is asking questions, then making a explanation for it, making a model of it, what could be a possible answer. And then we have to test the answer. And the testing is done by something which we call an experiment, that we look around at the world and we do measurements on it, and we check whether what answer we have tried to provide, does that match with what we see in the actual world, right? So if somebody tries to answer why does the sun rise at a particular time and why does it set at a particular time, then we have to come up with a model of that. Why is that happening? Is it because the earth is rotating? Is it because the sun is going around us? These are all possible answers to it. And then we test our answer, because if we make a prediction, we say that I think the sun is going to rise at this time tomorrow. And that prediction is based on some idea, it's based on some theory on how the sun moves around the sky and how the earth rotates around in space. And then we can test that. We just look at what time does the sun come up next day. And if it matches our prediction, then we've got a good answer. So that's a scientific way of testing things out. So there are many things which we find in space, and some we can observe just with our own eyes, like the planets we can see. So we see lots of things in space, but not everything is visible without tools, right? So that's why we have to make very powerful telescopes to see stuff which we cannot see with our own eyes. And that's how astronomy is advanced, because we have now new instruments to look very deeply into space, and we can see really, really faint objects which we'll never be able to see with our own eyes. We'll not be able to see them at all because they don't produce light which human beings can see. So they might be producing light in radio waves, or they could be producing light in infrared, or they could be producing light in X-rays. So using technology, we have created new set of eyes, so we can look in the universe in a much wider range than was possible using just our own normal senses. So through that, we discover new objects which we could never have even imagined. So some of the most exciting objects which people are trying to understand are the ones which emit a lot of high energy radiation. So like things called pulsars, and there are black holes, and there are active galaxies which produce jets of radio waves. And we still don't understand exactly how they work, but again, scientists try to produce explanations, they produce models of that, and we try to test it out by getting better and better observations. So when we look out into the sky using a telescope, we are not only increasing like our eyesight, like we are able to see things beyond what our own senses can allow us to, we're also looking further back in time, like we are able to see the universe as it existed a long time back. So that's one of the most interesting things about astronomy, that the deeper you look in space, the more distant the objects are looking at. You're also looking at the history of our own universe. We can see the universe as it looked like billions and billions of years ago, which is what makes it such a fascinating field, because all the other experiments which you might do on Earth, that's something being done right now. But when you do astronomy, you not only look at the universe as it is now, but at it as it was long, long time back. So by doing astronomy, you understand where we came from. And so it's in a way a study of our own history also, like really, really ancient history, before even the Earth existed. And when we study the history and we study how the universe is now, we also have some idea of where it will be going, what the future of the universe is like. So we look both in space and time when we do astronomy. And the deeper we look, the more interesting objects we find. And we don't even know of all the things we have yet to see. So there are still so many mysterious things about the universe we do not understand. Like we don't understand why it's expanding so fast and why it's expanding faster and faster. And we don't know what exactly it's made up of, because it seems that space is, most of it is just empty. There is nothing inside. So we living in the solar system in a solid body, that's actually a very unusual thing, because if you pick any random spot in space, it's almost certainly going to be empty. It's not going to contain anything at all. So that's what makes it so fascinating, that we are just tiny little specks scattered around this universe, and we study those little specks, but most of the universe itself is it's a mystery. We don't know what it is made of, and what empty space is made of. If we understand that, then we'll be able to talk about how the universe was created in the first place, because we have models about formation of the universe, which is called the Big Bang theory. And after the Big Bang, it produced everything which is visible, but it also produced everything which is invisible. And that's what astronomers are trying to figure out by looking at that invisible thing, by And we look at it indirectly. We don't see what is invisible, but we see the effect it has on other things. We see how this invisible stuff affects the light coming from distant galaxies. We see how it bends the orbits of stars going around in galaxies. So from that we make inferences. So being an astronomer is like being a detective. We have a mystery and we don't know what is responsible for things happening. So we try to figure it out. So there's a lot of detective work going on. And so it's not just looking through telescopes and taking pictures of the universe. It's also a lot of mathematics. And lots of physics. We have to make models of the universe, and we have to test those models on computers, and we do many simulations, and through that we check whether our model is predicting the universe as we see it today.